The first quiet shift. Discipline rarely begins with force. It begins with a subtle shift inside you, the way early light spreads across a calm landscape. You notice that your thoughts feel scattered and heavy, and something within you quietly asks for order. Confucius believed that all harmony starts in this moment of awareness. Nothing changes on the outside yet. The world still feels demanding, noisy, and fast. But the instant you acknowledge your inner state, you reclaim influence over it. Imagine a still plain before sunrise. There is no urgency. The air feels clear. The quiet creates space for clarity to return. That is the beginning of inner discipline. You step back from the noise and let your thoughts settle. This approach contrasts with the idea that discipline must be harsh or forced. Confucius taught that forcing the mind creates resistance, but guiding it gently creates harmony. In this first stage, you do not try to overhaul your life. You simply observe the unrest and allow calmness to rise. This soft beginning sets the foundation for deeper transformation. From here, each step becomes purposeful, aligning your inner world before shaping the outer one. Harmony begins within. Confucius taught that the state of your mind shapes the world you experience. When your inner world is unsettled, everything around you feels unstable. But when clarity returns within, the same environment feels more manageable. Picture a broad field in early morning. As light rises, details become visible that were lost in darkness. Your inner world works the same way. When you steady your thoughts, you begin to notice choices and patterns that were once hidden by stress. Confucius believed that harmony within a single person influences others naturally. A calm presence softens tension. A thoughtful response changes the direction of a conversation. A steady mind brings balance to moments that would otherwise spiral. This influence is not forceful. It flows outward without intention, like ripples spreading across still water. The first step toward Confucian discipline is recognizing this ripple effect. Your inner state does not stay confined inside you. It becomes the tone you carry into the world. When you begin cultivating inner harmony, you contribute to outer harmony without even trying. This truth becomes the foundation for the first virtue, Ren, the discipline of humaneness. Ren is the root virtue of Confucius's teachings. It represents a steady, active compassion, one that shapes your thoughts, decisions, and presence. To understand Ren, imagine a single tree standing on quiet ground. It offers shade and steadiness without expecting anything in return. Ren works in this quiet, grounded way. Modern life pulls your attention toward frustration, urgency, and self-focus. Ren widens your awareness. It encourages you to look beyond yourself and consider the experience of others. This shift dissolves tension because compassion softens the grip of irritation. Confucius believed Ren strengthened the mind by calming impulsive reactions. When you approach the world with humaneness, emotions feel less chaotic. You begin to listen more clearly and act with greater stability. Practicing Ren is not passive, it is a disciplined choice, the decision to pause before reacting, to see the humanity in another person, and to act with sincerity rather than impulse. Ren becomes the anchor that supports every other principle. It stabilizes your inner world and shapes the tone of your relationships. Practicing Ren in daily life. Ren becomes real through practice. It shows itself in the quiet moments when you choose presence over impulse. Imagine late-day light settling across open land. The stillness reveals fine details, shifting tones, subtle textures that only appear when the environment is calm. Ren functions the same way. When you slow your inner world, you notice small emotional signals before they become reactions. Confucius saw this as a daily discipline. You pause before responding. You listen without preparing your rebuttal. You allow space for another perspective to exist beside your own. These actions strengthen your internal structure. Practicing Ren reduces the emotional friction that builds throughout the day. It loosens the grip of irritation, impatience, and self-absorption. This does not mean ignoring boundaries. It means approaching difficulties with clarity instead of tension. Over time, Ren becomes a quiet inner strength. It helps you remain steady even when others are unsettled. This virtue prepares you for the next step on the path. E, the discipline of choosing what is right over what is easy. E, the discipline of righteous action. If Ren is the compassionate heart, E is the steady backbone. E represents moral clarity and the discipline of choosing what is right, even when that choice is difficult. Imagine a narrow ridge at dusk. It stays firm against shifting wind, holding its shape no matter the pressure. E is this inner firmness. Modern life tempts you toward shortcuts, comfort, and convenience. E calls you back to a grounded path. It asks you to act from principle rather than impulse. Confucius believed that righteousness develops through small decisions, not dramatic gestures. Each time you choose honesty over convenience or fairness over ease, you strengthen your internal structure. You build a character that cannot be shaken by circumstances. E is not moral perfection. It is alignment. It is the practice of matching your actions to the person you intend to be. When you follow E, your inner world stabilizes because your behavior and values no longer conflict. This creates a calm strength that becomes visible in every interaction. E guides the direction of Ren, ensuring that compassion flows into actions that are clear, fair, and grounded. Walking the path of Yi. To practice Yi, you learn to listen to your inner compass before acting. Imagine a steady line of earth stretching toward the horizon at sunset. Its shape remains constant no matter how the light shifts. Yi brings this steadiness into your decisions. You face choices every day, small ones that shape your direction more than you realize. Confucius taught that when you act from alignment, you feel inner ease. When you act from convenience or fear, you feel inner friction. This friction is your signal. It shows that a part of you knows the choice does not reflect your deeper values. Practicing Yi means pausing long enough to sense that signal. It means choosing clarity over comfort. This practice builds resilience. You stop being pulled by shifting moods or the pressure of others. You become grounded in your own principles. Over time, Yi becomes a quiet anchor. It steadies your actions, bringing consistency to your days and strength to your character. This prepares you for the next virtue, Li, the discipline that shapes your inner values into outward harmony. Li, the discipline of ritual and order. Li is one of Confucius's most transformative teachings. It is often misunderstood as etiquette, but its meaning runs much deeper. Li represents the structured practices that shape your behavior and bring inner virtue into everyday life. Imagine a line of smooth stones leading through a calm garden. Each stone guides your steps, creating a predictable rhythm. This rhythm does not restrict you. It frees you. Li works in this same way. Rituals, small daily patterns, create stability. They allow your mind to settle into order. Confucius believed that disciplined routines shape character over time. They help you develop patience, intention, and clarity. In modern life, Li appears in the habits that either support or disrupt your peace. The way you begin your morning sets the tone for your thoughts. The way you end your day shapes your rest. Li reminds you that structure is not confinement. It is a form of freedom. It turns good intentions into consistent action. When your rituals align with your values, your life becomes calmer and more coherent. Li becomes the bridge between who you are and who you aspire to be. Bringing Li into your life. To practice Li, you begin by examining the small patterns that shape your days. Picture a gentle sequence of waves moving toward a shoreline. Each one follows the next with natural rhythm. This is the essence of Li. Your routines create a similar rhythm within you. Confucius taught that ritual is a tool, not a performance. It helps you regulate emotion, maintain clarity, and express your virtues through action. When your habits are chaotic, your inner world becomes unsettled. But when your rituals are steady, your mind grows calm. Practicing Li is simple but powerful. You create a morning practice that grounds your thoughts before the day pulls at you. You set boundaries around rest so your mind can recover. You treat moments of interaction with intention, letting your actions reflect your inner values. Li is the discipline of bringing harmony into ordinary life. It transforms daily routines into pathways of growth. Over time, these patterns shape a steady state of mind, preparing you for the next virtue. G, the discipline of wisdom.
Zhi, the discipline of wisdom. Zhi is often misunderstood as intelligence, but Confucius defined wisdom very differently. Zhi is practical, relational understanding. It is the discipline of seeing clearly yourself, others, and the situations you face. Imagine a wide lake under steady midday light. Its surface reveals depth and subtle movement beneath. Zhi brings this kind of clarity to your interactions. Modern distraction narrows your awareness. You see only your perspective, your feelings, your assumptions. Zhi widens that view. Confucius taught that wisdom begins with humility. It is the ability to say, "I might not see the full picture." This softens the ego and opens the mind. Zhi asks you to observe before reacting, to understand before judging. This discipline helps you respond with steadiness even in tense moments. Those who practice Zhi are not easily thrown off balance. They sense the deeper patterns behind words and actions. They listen fully. They pause before forming conclusions. As you cultivate this quality, your inner world grows more spacious. You become less reactive and more discerning. Zhi strengthens the connection between thought and action, guiding you toward deeper harmony.
Learning to see clearly. Wisdom develops through attention. Confucius believed that observing people with genuine curiosity revealed insights no book could match. To cultivate Ji, imagine a quiet river at twilight. The water moves steadily, and reflections shift gently along its surface. When you watch closely, you notice details that were invisible before. Ji works the same way. It requires slowing your mind enough to perceive what is actually happening rather than what you assume is happening. Most conflict arises from misinterpretation. You react to a story in your mind instead of the truth in front of you. Ji dissolves this confusion. It teaches you to listen without preparing your reply, to ask questions rather than defend assumptions, and to stay present when emotions rise. This clarity strengthens your relationships, but it also strengthens your heart. When you truly understand others, frustration softens and compassion grows naturally. Practicing G also means understanding yourself, your patterns, fears, and blind spots. Confucius believed that acknowledging one's limits was a sign of great wisdom. This humility becomes a stabilizing force. It keeps your mind open and your reactions grounded.
Zen, the discipline of trustworthiness. With Zen, the light arc shifts into the deep blue phase, quiet, reflective, and steady. Zen is the discipline of alignment between your values and your actions. It is trustworthiness toward others, but more importantly, toward yourself. Imagine deep ocean water at night. Its calm weight holds everything with quiet strength. Zen brings this kind of steadiness to your character. Confucius taught that trustworthiness forms the backbone of personal integrity. When your words and actions match, you stand on solid ground. But when you break promises to yourself, whether small or large, you weaken your internal structure. This creates tension, a sense of conflict within your own mind. Zen resolves that conflict. It asks you to keep the commitments you make, even if they are small. A short daily practice, a moment of patience, a pause before reacting. These small kept promises accumulate, proving to your mind that you can rely on yourself. Confucius believed that a trustworthy person brings stability wherever they go. Zen strengthens the other virtues, compassion, righteousness, ritual, and wisdom, by giving them consistency. It becomes the quiet foundation for deep inner peace.
Becoming a person of seen. Practicing seen means honoring your inner commitments. Imagine a coastline under deep evening light. The boundary between land and water remains constant, no matter the tides. This steadiness reflects the nature of seen. To embody it, you start by choosing one small promise you can keep every day. Consistency matters more than intensity. Confucius taught that sincerity begins with what you do when no one is watching. When you follow through on your word, you build self-respect. When you avoid excuses and take responsibility, you strengthen your character. This practice transforms how you see yourself. You no longer live in conflict between intention and action. Your mind grows quieter because your behavior aligns with your values. Seen also improves your relationships. People feel safe around those who are consistent. They trust your presence and your words. You become a source of steadiness in a world filled with unpredictability. Over time, seen becomes a calm internal anchor. It holds you steady during challenges and prepares you for the closing stages of Confucian discipline, the integration of all 5 virtues into a unified inner harmony.
The 5 virtues working together. At this point in the journey, each virtue, Ren, Yi, Li, Ji, and Xin, has developed its own form within you. Confucius believed that true discipline emerges when these virtues begin to work together. Imagine a wide valley at dusk. Individual streams flow from different slopes, but they all merge into one calm body of water. The virtues function in a similar way. Ren softens the heart. Yi straightens the path. Li establishes rhythm. Ji brings clarity. Xin provides stability. Alone, each virtue is powerful. Together, they create a balanced inner structure capable of carrying you through difficulty with steadiness. Confucius taught that harmony was not a single quality, but a balanced interplay of many. Modern life often feels fragmented because actions, thoughts and values are misaligned. The 5 virtues realign these pieces. They transform momentary discipline into lasting character. When compassion guides your emotions, righteousness guides your actions, ritual guides your habits, wisdom guides your understanding, and trustworthiness guides your consistency, you enter a deeper phase of inner order. This harmony becomes a calm strength, preparing you for integration, the moment when discipline becomes a natural way of being rather than an effort you must push toward.
Integrating the virtues into daily life. Integration is the quiet turning point in Confucian discipline. It is where inner virtues move from theory into lived experience. Picture a soft line of mountains fading into evening blue. The shapes blend naturally, forming a seamless horizon. Integration works this way. You no longer separate compassion from action or wisdom from routine. They merge into one steady way of living. Confucius believed that discipline becomes effortless only after it becomes embodied. This does not mean life becomes free of challenges. Instead, challenges feel less overwhelming because your responses arise from alignment rather than conflict. When someone tests your patience, Ren guides your reaction. When you face a difficult decision, Yi strengthens your judgment. When life feels chaotic, Li brings rhythm. When a misunderstanding arises, Ji widens your perspective. When doubt appears, Shin steadies your resolve. The virtues reinforce one another, creating an internal landscape that remains steady even as conditions change. This is the beginning of the twilight phase of the light arc, the stage where clarity deepens and transformation becomes visible. The twilight of understanding. Twilight represents the stage where insight matures into wisdom. It is calm, reflective, and expansive. Imagine the final light of day stretching across calm water. The surface carries the fading glow with quiet strength. This is the mood of Part 15. After practicing the 5 virtues, you begin to sense a change in yourself. You respond more slowly, more thoughtfully. You recognize emotional patterns before they take over. You act from clarity more often than from impulse. Confucius believed that this state of awareness was a sign of genuine growth. You are no longer forcing discipline, you are becoming disciplined. The virtues move within you naturally, not because you push them, but because they have taken root. Twilight is not the end. It is preparation for a deeper stage, embodied integration. Here you reflect honestly on your progress. You notice where you have grown and where you still waver. This reflection is part of the discipline itself. Confucius encouraged self-examination as a way to strengthen character. This twilight awareness creates a space where transformation settles quietly into the mind. The strength of inner quiet. In this stage, your inner world becomes a source of stability. Imagine a quiet expanse of land under fading light. The air cools, the landscape becomes still. There is a sense of completion without finality. This is the character of deep inner quiet. Confucius believed that when the 5 virtues integrate, the mind becomes naturally calm, not empty, calm. You no longer react to every passing stimulus. You no longer feel pulled in competing directions. This quiet is not weakness. It is strength without noise. It is discipline without force. You begin to trust yourself. Your decisions feel clear. Your emotions feel steady. Your actions feel aligned. This quiet becomes a kind of internal gravity that holds you together when life intensifies. Confucius taught that inner harmony creates outer harmony. When your mind settles, your relationships stabilize, your environment feels smoother, your sense of purpose becomes clearer. This stage prepares you for the final phase of the journey, where the virtues merge into a practical, lived philosophy, guiding your daily actions with calm confidence.
Returning to the source within. As you reach the final stage of this journey, you begin returning to the inner source from which discipline, clarity, and harmony first emerged. Imagine a calm shoreline under the last light of evening. The boundary between water and sky softens, creating a sense of unity. In this space, the mind feels open, spacious, and steady. Confucius believed that true mastery was a return to simplicity. After learning the 5 virtues and practicing them in daily life, you arrive at a deeper truth. Everything begins and ends with the cultivation of the self. When you look inward with honesty and patience, you understand what needs strengthening, what needs releasing, and what needs nurturing. This reflection is not harsh, it is gentle and sincere. You see your progress clearly, moments where you reacted with steadiness, where compassion guided your words, where wisdom softened conflict, where integrity held your course. You begin to appreciate that discipline is not a rigid structure, it is a living rhythm. The more you align with your inner values, the more peaceful and resilient your life becomes. This return to inner awareness prepares you for the final integration of Confucius's teachings.
The harmony of a well-lived life. In the twilight of Confucian discipline, something subtle but powerful appears. The 5 virtues no longer feel separate, they blend into a single, balanced way of being. Imagine a broad horizon just after sunset. The colors merge gently. Deep blue, soft amber, quiet silver, creating a sense of wholeness. This is the feeling of inner harmony. Confucius taught that a well-lived life is not defined by external achievement, but by internal coherence. When your thoughts, actions, and values align, you feel centered no matter what challenges arise. You handle setbacks with calm. You approach others with generosity. You navigate uncertainty with clarity. This is not perfection, it is steadiness. The 5 virtues have reshaped the patterns of your mind. Compassion guides emotion. Righteousness guides choice. Ritual guides habit. Wisdom guides understanding. Trustworthiness guides consistency. Together, they create a life that feels grounded and meaningful. This harmony becomes a quiet confidence, an inner assurance that you can meet life as it comes. Confucius believed that this state was available to anyone willing to practice sincerely, one day at a time. The path you continue to walk. As you near the end of this reflection, the focus shifts from understanding to continuation. Imagine a long path stretching into soft twilight. The details of the distance are unclear, but the direction feels right. This represents your journey forward. The teachings of Confucius are not meant to be completed, they are meant to be lived. Each day asks you to practice compassion when impatience rises. Each moment invites you to choose righteousness when convenience tempts you. Each routine becomes a space to apply ritual and order. Each conversation becomes an opportunity for wisdom. Each promise becomes a chance to strengthen trustworthiness. The path is continuous, but it is not heavy. Confucius believed that small, consistent actions create lasting transformation. The discipline you build today supports the clarity you feel tomorrow.
This steady progress shapes a life of peace, one grounded not in external control, but in internal mastery. This is the moment where you reaffirm your direction. You recognize that the journey continues, guided by the virtues you've made part of your character.
The quiet strength you carry forward. As this journey concludes, imagine a final stretch of twilight settling over calm land. The day ends, but its warmth remains in the air. This is the feeling of completion without ending, a transition into the life you continue to build. Confucius taught that transformation is not defined by dramatic moments, but by steady practice. The 5 virtues you've explored are more than ideas, they are tools for living. Compassion softens the heart. Righteousness strengthens decision-making. Ritual brings order. Wisdom expands your understanding. Trustworthiness anchors your actions. Together, they create a life that feels clear, grounded, and meaningful. The question now is simple. What small stone will you carry forward? What single practice can you begin today that strengthens one of these virtues? The answer does not need to be grand, it only needs to be sincere. Each small act becomes part of the person you are becoming. Confucius believed that when you cultivate harmony within, that harmony ripples outward. It touches your relationships, your environment, and your future. The work begins now, quietly, steadily, and with purpose.